From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Welcome to Montana This Morning. A weekly summer party in Billings is also driving the economy. We'll have more on that. And the latest we know on that machete attack in North Park that has police still searching for a suspect. Plus, the clock is ticking for city leaders and workers to stave off a strike. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Friday, June 21st. I'm Augusta McDonnell. Got Miller Robson here with me, and we're looking at a bit of a bumpy Friday, Miller.
Yes, the first full day of summer, and it's kind of coming in with a bang for some. We do have a threat of some severe weather in the area, and we'll break it all down with the main forecast coming up. Yesterday, as summer kicked off at 2:50 in the afternoon, it was very seasonal with our high, our low a little bit below average, high of 79, our low of 47. Top gust yesterday of about 28 miles an hour was a dry start to summer, so we're well in the hole for the month and pacing pretty much on target for the year. We do have a chance to see some moisture today, and then that may be it for the rest of the month for most of us. We are seeing some rain right now here in Logan at the airport, 56 degrees. Humidity at 93%, dew point temperatures at 54 degrees, and that means we could see a little bit of fog out there in spots. Winds out of the northwest at about 10 miles an hour. Temperatures right now in the 50s and 60s. You can see some of those areas where we're seeing some thunderstorms this morning, especially southern parts of Rosebud County, and then just something that will kind of linger as the day goes on. And there's your threat for today, 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. tonight, 2 p.m. till 10 p.m., give or take an hour. What does this mean? What kind of threat are we looking at? And it's about to get very hot. How hot will it get? We'll tell you all about this with the main forecast. Come on.
All right, lots to come. Thank you so much, Miller, for tracking all of that. And a beautiful summer day Thursday was the perfect backdrop for Alive at 5 to kick off in Billings. That event is more than 20 years old. It's still going strong, but it's much more than great music, food, and drinks. Our David J. has more on the economic impact for the whole city.
The first two Alive After Fives has drawn about 5,000, and those attendance numbers mean a lot for the business, Thirsty Street, also the band Arterial Drive, and for Downtown Billings Association. Arterial Drive, a Billings band, performs at Alive After 5 for the first time in 5 years.
We give them everything that we can. We're hopping around, we're sweating, and they give us that kind of encouragement, like, keep going, keep the energy strong. And Thirsty Street Brewing hosts the event for the second year in a row.
It couldn't work out better for us to have a draw to the whole town of Billings and have people come see our stage and what we have inside as well.
The event is also a boon for the nearby businesses, providing a good time and an economic benefit. Thirsty Street pays $5,000 to host the event and still makes a few $1,000s on the night.
We hope for something much larger than that in terms of sales, but you know, by the time you pay for the beer, you pay for staff and all that kind of stuff, it's not a ton of money, but it's worth doing. The band picks up some money to play, sell some of its albums and t-shirts, and maybe more chances to perform. After the show, there will be 2-3 people come up and say, "I want you to play for my grandma's 85th. The Downtown Billings Association says it's a great fundraiser, helping to pay for plowing sidewalks in the winter, public art, flower baskets, and for free events such as the Strawberry Festival and Harvest Fest.
It's a good advertisement for the business.
And while no one had the exact dollar amounts, Alive After 5 brings all kinds of benefits.
Money spent downtown, whether it's in the footprint of Alive After 5 or maybe it's going out to dinner afterwards.
It's a great marketing opportunity for us.
It kicks off the weekend here in Billings during the summertime.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
David, thank you so much. And top crime news this morning, Billings police continue to search for a suspect in a reported stabbing attack at North Park. We first brought you this yesterday. Police say a 25-year-old man was injured in that attack Wednesday afternoon, finding the victim bleeding from the face. Officers say the weapon was a machete, but here's where the investigation gets hard to follow. Police say witnesses are uncooperative and the victim is also not helping in this investigation. Police ask anyone who saw the attack to come forward with information. Again, it happened Wednesday afternoon. For anybody traveling on the West End this morning, the Zoo Drive and West Billings interchange ramps are expected to open again this morning after yesterday's closure. Construction crews are expected to be finishing resurfacing work. Drivers should use caution, of course, in construction zones throughout our area and keep an eye out for workers. The clock is ticking for city leaders and workers to stave off a strike. If no deal is reached, nearly 400 employees, impacting trash pickup and bus lines, could be headed for the picket lines. The big contract holdup right now is wage increases. Our Haley Monaco uncovered the details on just how high salaries for city leaders have increased in recent years.
Garbage pickup is just one of the many things that could be affected if the city and the city union workers don't reach an agreement. A strike has been authorized, and we could see the impacts in a little less than 2 weeks.
It's a tale as old as time. If you don't pay city employees, they're going to strike.
As a contract agreement between the union representing city workers and the city of Billings quickly approaches its expiration date.
I'm not asking for them to be rich, but just afford to live.
Negotiations for a new contract are at an impasse, with workers wanting more pay. On Monday, the Teamsters Local 190 union voted on what the city says is its last, best, and final offer.
90% of our membership that voted no on the contract and voted yes to authorize the strike.
Jim Sumas, the Teamsters Secretary-Treasurer, says that the city conducted a market analysis on workers' pay and found that 28 of the 365 union members were overpaid, and 223 of them were expected to get less than a 5% raise, a stark contrast to what he says are big salary hikes for administration.
When I look at the compensation percentages for admin, ranging anywhere from 8 to 17% in the last couple of years, but yet they can turn around and tell their employees, we're overpaying you. That really hurts straight to the heart.
This is a look at salaries for top city officials. For the 2023 fiscal year, City Administrator Chris Kukulski had a base pay of $215,000. Assistant City Administrator Kevin Ifland received around a 10% salary increase, taking his total to nearly $182,000. And the Library Director Gavin Wolcher received an 8% pay bump, raising his salary to around $154,000. Increases, Sumas says, are well above those proposed by the city for most other city workers. Librarians would receive a 0.19% increase. Police support specialists, 3.6% bump. Although there are some equipment and maintenance workers who would receive a 12% increase, bringing their pay to roughly an average of $66,000 a year.
Those members stood together with those that were getting zero increase and said, no, we all have to have an increase.
The city declined to comment on the union's concerns and those salary discrepancies, but more negotiations are scheduled for next week. If a deal is not reached by June 30th, workers say they'll strike.
It's not that we're, charging and going to run out there and want to strike. It's we want that leverage to bring the city to what is a fair and reasonable deal.
City services like garbage collection, utilities, streets, the library, parks department, Met buses, and potentially even the airport could be impacted.
Nobody wins in a strike.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Haley, thank you so much. And in court news this morning, an 88-year-old Billings man has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for his role in 2 bank robberies. Stephen Whitecloud pleaded guilty to bank robbery in February after serving as the getaway driver in 2 incidents. One of them on August 24th last year and the other on August 28th. Co-defendant Patrick Justice robbed the U.S. Bank on Grand Avenue First while doing the same 4 days later at the Wells Fargo Bank on Main Street. In each, he handed the teller a note saying he was armed with a gun and demanded money. After a short vehicle pursuit, officers arrested both Justice and Whitecloud. Whitecloud told police he came up with a plan as a way to make money. He was also convicted of bank robbery in 2008. The sentencing for a Montana businessman who participated in the U.S. Capitol riot on January 6th has been delayed. In February, Hank Munzer of Dillon was convicted of felony civil disorder and obstruction of an official proceeding. He was set to be sentenced Thursday. However, another January 6th defendant, Joseph Fisher, appealed his conviction to the Supreme Court, causing other cases, including Munzer's, to be put on hold. The High Court is currently deliberating that case, with Fisher's attorneys arguing the charge should be dropped because Congress recessed before he entered the building. Munzer, who also entered the Capitol after Congress recessed, is now awaiting the ruling before moving forward with his own sentencing. And the city of Red Lodge in that area remains on high alert as the Beartooth Ranger District is experiencing high water danger. Officials say areas affected by the 2022 floods are the most vulnerable, especially on East Rosebud Lake and Armstrong Lake. Temporary bridges and culverts could be impacted as water flows could lead to quickly changing conditions. And natural hazards exist, including falling rocks and trees, landslides, even avalanches. Officials say stay alert near the water and wear safety gear. That footage is from 2022. Apocalyptic scenes across southern New Mexico as wildfires continue to scorch the mountain community of Ruidoso. Rains have helped firefighters in their efforts to contain the flames while also creating new challenges. CBS's Jared Hill has the latest.
In fire-ravaged Ruidoso, New Mexico, blackened trees and homes burned down to the foundation by two wildfires simultaneously raging around the mountain village. Tashina and Adrian Collazo fled earlier this week. Now, they don't know if there will be anything left to return to.
But this one, it just hits different when it's your home.
The South Fork and Salt fires have scorched more than 20,000 acres, destroying about 500 homes, claiming at least 2 lives.
Firefighters that were on the initial attack, it's just too much heat, too much energy for them to try to get around this.
Storms rolled through earlier in the week, helping to slow the spread, but creating another challenge in their wake: flash flooding. This RV park was overtaken by a river raging from fresh burn scars.
Luckily, a lot of people had already got their rigs and moved them out. If not, this would have been a whole lot worse.
With the fires still 0% contained, some 8,000 residents like the Collazos are left wondering what's next.
Thank God we're safe and we have somewhere. There's a lot of people that don't have anywhere to go.
But grateful for what they have. Jared Hill, CBS News.
President Biden has issued a disaster declaration for parts of southern New Mexico, freeing up federal funding and more resources as crews work to keep those flames from spreading. Back here in Montana, rooted in tribal tradition, a new building and Crow agency will serve as the start to economic development. The new Crow Innovation Center broke ground Thursday morning. The Innovation Center is the dream of Plenty Doors, a nonprofit located in the tribal community. The center, which will be over 18,000 square feet, is comprised of 2 buildings. It's got meeting spaces and community rooms. Business owners like Tana Cummins will be moving her coffee shop into the building. She's excited for what the future holds.
In Crow Agency and inside our Crow Reservation, there isn't much economy that exists. And so this is going to be huge for not only our economy, but our community, our children.
The center is not expected to be finished for at least a year.